So, you got a first date, and maybe you went out to dinner, maybe you're just staying in, you lucky dog you, and you both agree that a horror rental would be a good call. It sounds odd why scary movies would work in a romantic setting, but if you ponder it, it's actually ideal. Sure, there's sex on the screen more often than not, but more than that, it's intimacy. When people get scared, they get closer, vulnerable, and start to open up. And there's something about knowingly putting yourself in a position where you'll get scared enough to cuddle that's just really cute to me. Today I'd like to talk about some horror movies I would recommend for a first date. As always, make sure to comment with your own picks as well, and enjoy the list. Let's do it. Up front, we have to discuss the types of movies that are a no-go. Don't put anything too brutal with too much yelling, or God forbid any rape or vomit or poopy or post The Conjuring acting by Joey King. Nuh-uh. You want one of two things. Something genuinely terrifying, so you two become immersed and scared and time stops and all that, or a lighter, quick-paced slaughterfest. And so we're going to start with the latter. I Know What You Did Last Summer is a great example of a fun horror film. It moves fast, the characters are flawed, and sure, they have some cheesy dialogue, but they come across like, well, not teenagers, but like real young adults, and not ones clearly written by out-of-touch 40-year-olds. They strike that perfect balance between being likable enough to watch, but not lovable enough to be sad if any of them die. As slashers go, that is just meh. The film takes the classic group of friends cover up a murder concept and plays it through with style and energy. None of it drags, the acting delivers, and there's a lot of creativity on display when it comes to the murder sequences. This is an easy horror film to watch and get invested in. If somehow you haven't seen it, this one's a given. I'd also recommend the sequel, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, which is much more ridiculous and campy, but surprisingly enjoyable. Like Evil Dead 2, it's a follow-up that took the tone in a sillier direction, but without losing its horror trappings. Plus, Jack Black as a dreadlocked stoner, that's something. I'm not selling this well, but all I can say is that I enjoyed it so much more than I expected. It's honestly a blast. Unlike the Craft Legacy, the Microsoft Bing of horror sequels. Avoid that shit like the plague. Stupid, horribly acted piece of shit. Oh look, another bully who's unrealistically evil. Oh, check it out, it's David Duchovny, more like David Dramamine. You get the same experience watching a bunch of e-girls compare astrology crystals at a hot topic. It's so cringy. It did provide ammo for my proudest Letterboxd review, but still, this was agony. Who wanted a sequel to The Craft? Who are you people? Show yourself. Anyway, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer could also be a good excuse for a second movie date. Like, hey, there's a sequel, and this critic said it was pretty good. He obviously knows movies, I mean, look how many caps he wears. To round out the less scary, more high-energy picks, I'm tossing a shout-out to Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. It sounds weird, but one of the coolest things to do in school in the 90s was going to book fairs. And the series this movie is based on always got picked first. The stories were creepy enough, but alongside the artwork that was somehow both ghostly and wet, and just nightmarish all around, those books scared me to death, but I couldn't get enough of them. So when the movie was announced, I was almost certain it was going to suck. But it didn't suck. In fact, it was actually pretty good. They did justice to some of the book's designs, like the pale lady who, wow, they just nailed. Others they took even further, like the scarecrow scene, and there was also an entirely new creature that is sure to give your date and possibly you some jumps. The film did what an adaptation should do, and say it with me now, take what was good and expand and experiment without taking a big dump on it, Ferdinand. The acting, well, it wasn't The Ruins good, but it wasn't New Nightmare bad. It gets me every time. Was the movie scary to me? No. Is it stellar filmmaking? No. But I wanted to recommend a reliable horror film for a younger audience. I'd say in the 12 to 16 range. I don't know if anyone in that age group watches my videos, but if they do, check out the movie. Just don't send me your TikToks. No offense, but I'd rather slam a car door on my nutsack. On the actually scary side of things, The Descent is an easy recommendation. There's strong female characters with different skill levels when it comes to the spelunking in question. They share good chemistry and come across like real people. However, the best aspect of the film is the atmosphere. The path the characters take move from expansive, open areas to claustrophobic tunnels. The lighting is limited to headlamps and other sources the climbers brought with them. It feels real since the events move methodically. Ropes are set up, clips are being hooked up, and you get to see the process. It sounds boring, but no, it is not boring. Because of all the pacing and darkness and realism, you're there, waiting helplessly for something to happen. And things definitely happen. The jump scares in The Descent are very effective and aren't the annoying kind. They actually show something creepy and or dangerous rather than the stupid, boo! Hey person I care about, just wanted to scare the shit out of you! I watched this movie with someone early in the relationship, and when how do I put this without spoilers? When an Eric Andre shows up, the girl I was with not only screamed really loud, but accidentally hit me in the face. It was worth it, but, you know, keep an eye out. You can't have a spooky movie date night list without The Ring. Come on, this is a classic. The color correction, the music, how quiet scenes are. The experience is so moody and heavy that you don't really know how scared you are until you find yourself curling up to the person next to you. The Ring crawls under your skin, and you feel weird and perturbed and just off, like you shouldn't be watching this. The haunted videotape is like a student film made by a serial killer, and its strangeness is what makes it so creepy. Yeah, the beginning scene still sucks in my opinion. No, really, like, watch it again and just listen to the dialogue. They may as well be holding silent film era placards. But The Ring is still a lights off, cuddle up kind of horror rental, and if you or your date haven't seen it, go watch it tonight. And last up, I'm going to go with the South Korean film Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. Now, I write scripts for my reviews, and I kind of loosely go off them, but this one I didn't really write anything because I kind of want to stammer. I want to hesitate, because in some way maybe I can portray just how terrifying this movie is. And I feel like I undersold its scares in my 6 horror films that are actually scary volume where I talked about it. For starters, it's kind of refreshing to see a found footage horror film focus on a live stream, and we also get to see a lot of the prep work. There's some really nice GoPro shots, so the film is always visually engaging. And frankly, the first 20 minutes is not scary. It's all the setup and the introduction for this project that they're working on, but once it gets scary, it's like the dam just broke open, and it just doesn't stop for the rest of the film. It is so scary. The film is full of so many, I'll just call them shut-eye moments. You know, like there's a sequence with a girl with really black eyes that I won't show because it's way too scary, but it's a scene where it happens and you just close your eyes really quickly and press your fingertips against them and just go, tell me when it's over, tell me when it's over, tell me when it's over. There are several sequences like that, and yet I can still recommend the film because it meets that criteria I mentioned earlier. It's not super bloody, it's not overly brutal, it's not gross, but with a caveat that it is especially frightening. So if you're willing to take that risk and have that kind of thrill ride experience, I'd say go for it. But what about you guys? I would love to hear not only films that you would pick, but some of your own stories about horror movies on a date. My next volume of 6 films that are actually scary should be up in a few days, so look out for that, and I'll see you guys later. Have fun!